You're with Blues on the Hill and you're with Baz, and I'm currently at the Northcote Social Club with a lady who gave us her debut album in 2009 called White Sugar. In 2010 she won the Blues Awards for Best New Artist. 2011 she won the Brit Blues Award Best Female Vocalist and Songwriter of the Year. She's a Blues Festival favourite around the world and been to Byron Bay, our own Blues Fest, twice. And she's now on tour in Australia to promote her new album, Almost Always Never. Her name is Joanne Shaw Taylor. Joanne, welcome to Blues on the Hill.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's okay. How's it going? How's the tour going so far?
It's going really well. We kind of new into it. This is the fourth date now. And we've got another 7 or 8 to go, I think.
Okay.
So still kind of early days, but it's going really, really well. It's
busy, crazy, non-stop.
Pretty much, yeah. I finished in Germany on the 10th. Flew out here via the States on the 11th. Had my birthday on the 13th, somewhere over the Atlantic.
13th. It's my birthday too.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, no, I took off on the 12th and landed on the 14th, so I actually haven't aged this year.
All right. So
yeah, busy.
Let me take you back away. How does a 13-year-old girl in Birmingham, England, fall in love with the blues? How did that happen?
My dad plays guitar and my older brother played guitar, so there was sort of never a question of me not doing that, to be honest. So I just got into playing electric guitar, knew I wanted to do it, and kind of searched for my dad's record collection, really. You know,
it was all blues?
Looking for primarily a lot of classic rock. A lot of classic rock in our house, and then metal from my brother's side. Just a lot of guitar, basically, but it was really Steve Ray Vaughan that kind of was the one that kind of pricked my ears up. And so I kind of went down the blues path due to him, and researched his influences. Albert Collins was another major primary influence. Jimmy Vaughan and ZZ Top.
And we're glad you did. 16-year-old, you got discovered by Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics.
I did.
How did that come about?
I did a charity show in aid of breast cancer, which my mother had just gotten over, and one of Dave's friends was there, and I think Roger Pumphrey took a demo CD and passed it on to Dave. And the next thing he sort of phoned the house and spoke to my dad, and then we were all on a train from the countryside going down to London for the first time for me. And
fantastic. And then touring? You toured with him?
Yeah. The next year after that, he put me out on the road with B.B. King for a little while in Europe, and then he'd started a band called DUP, the Universal Players, with Jimmy Cliff and Mudbone Cooper and Candy Dolfer, and I was the second guitar player to him.
Incredible.
So, very good experience, particularly at that age,
Just before we leave Dave Stewart, take you back to last year for the Queen Jubilee concert. What an incredible honour to play that concert. What was that like?
Crazy. I mean, I can't really remember that much of it, to be honest. It was such a chaotic day. It was just quite a nervous day, understandably. But it was a fantastic privilege, and I mean, just to play with Anna Lennox would have been enough.
Yeah.
I've known her since, working with Dave when I was a teenager, so to finally get to play with her was kind of a tick of the box, and secondly, that event was awesome. So.
And the amount of people, the numbers, just crazy.
I was trying very hard not to think about that when I was on stage, kind of staring at them all. But, and then obviously it was televised to a lot more people. But it was definitely
worldwide
like,
audience would have been astronomical.
It was definitely the quickest 4.5 minutes of my life, I'll tell you that much.
All right, now the new album, third album. How do you feel about it now? It's out there, the reviews are gone. How's it going?
It's going great. I think it's definitely my favourite musically. And I like all three for different reasons. I.e. White Sugar will always be the first, and so you do tend to like them like they're your children. You like them all for different reasons.
So what's your favourite track on this album?
I've got a couple. I really like Tied and Bound, just because I always wanted to write kind of a really good classic rock song, and I think I kind of got close with that. And secondly, I really like, there's two others on there, Almost Always Never, which I wrote about sort of my friends in Detroit, which I thought lyrically was a strong song, and it was also very different to anything I've written before.
All right.
And then there's a ballad at the end, Lose Myself to Loving You, that I thought was
let's have a listen to Tied and Bound then. Do you want to intro it for me?
Yep, this is Tied and Bound off my album Almost Always Never by Joanne Shaw Taylor.
Okay, you're back with Baz, Blues on the Hill, and I'm sitting here with Joanne Shaw Taylor, and we're talking about her new album. Now, you made two major changes, big decision changes for this album. First, the producer, and your tone as well. So let's talk about the producer first. Jim Gaines, a bloke who's been with Stevie Ray, Buddy, John Lee, Santana, and so on. And you changed to Mike McCarthy. How did that come about?
It was actually my manager at the time. We decided that it was kind of changes as good as the rest. I love working with Jim, and I still want to work with Jim in the future. But for this album, it was kind of I kind of needed a change, to be honest. I needed just something to kind of, and also I'm a creature of habit and comfort, and I kind of needed something to scare me, you know. And working with new people was that thing. So my manager suggested, because I'd been down in Houston hanging out for a little bit, so he suggested Austin, and he knew Mike, and knew Mike was more of a classic rock kind of guy. So we went and had a meeting, and we got on really, really well, and it was sort of like, well, you know, let's try this. And I always wanted to record in Austin anyway, so that's kind of how it came about.
And you've said yourself you're a bit of a control freak, but he's a bigger control freak than you.
Yeah.
And so he took control of the project. How did that feel? And you're pleased you did?
That was the other thing, in that I think it was kind of a case of, it did me good because it took a lot for me to commit to a different situation, i.e., you know, Jim's family to me, and his house is a second home, and his wife, you know, is one of my best friends. So, you know, and his dog Lulu's basically my dog. So it's like the fact that I committed to not going, you know, home and doing something safe, just having that little decision made was kind of like, well, let's go the whole hog then. You know, it's already out of my hands. So I think mentally it was quite easy actually to kind of scare myself into it and go, well, we've come this far, so why not go the whole way, you know?
And he asked you to demo these songs differently. Normally you demo the songs garage band style, but he wanted you to do it just you and your guitar, and that really scared you. Why did that worry you so much?
Just because, again, I mean, a creature of sort of habit. Everything I'd done with Jim, it had been, you know, I basically handed over the complete demos. I played the bass and drums and done basically everything and handed it over to him, and then we changed very minor things here and there, but I'd been very controlling over the whole thing. So so it was just a shock to me to put that much time into doing the same thing with the songs for Mike, and then go, no, this isn't what I want, and I'm just you and your guitar, you know. And it was just sort of I guess it was another way of giving up control, in that, you know, I don't get to control the arrangement of this. I'm handing over the raw bones of it, and he gets to decide, you know. And
he builds on it from there.
Yeah, exactly. Which was the right decision, you know.
And you did about 20 songs. You only used 12. What happens to the other 8? Are they gone forever? Do you rework them? Are they going to come back at another album? You're going to do it live?
I don't know. I mean, we've still got spare tracks from the sessions with Jim. I mean, that depends sometimes. I mean, for instance, Piece of the Sky, which is the 4th song on this new album, I actually demoed it out and recorded it when I was 17. And, you know, just left it to lie there till a time when it was appropriate. And this album, it was like, oh, we're missing a song. And then I kind of went back and went, yeah, that one. You know, so I think sometimes things just songs have a timing issue about them that, you know, I like all the songs we've done, but, you know, they just weren't right for that particular album. You know, it wouldn't have been the same album. Yep,
fair enough. And you wrote 3 in the hotel room the night before, and you did a similar thing for White Sugar. You wrote 3 on the plane. How can you do that?
That was the previous 2 albums. Yeah. This was pretty much, I think, we changed Maybe Tomorrow. That was a completely different song. I rewrote the lyrics to that in the studio, but yeah, the whole writing in hotel room, and that was predominantly White Sugar and Diamonds.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just sort of think I worked well under pressure, I guess. And also, you know, I had to have the lyrics, and when I got to the sessions, the lyrics weren't done. So.
All right, so now let's talk about your tone. So I've noticed significant change from the last album. So you've gone from your Fender predominantly, you've gone to the Les Paul Marshall, so you've gone to a much heavier, fatter tone. Gary Moore, very Gary Moore-ish, I reckon, and I love it.
Yeah.
You're pleased with it?
I love it. I mean, it's it was we done Tied and Bound on this album, and it was, you know, me and Mike had a conversation. It was, you know, a Fender Esquire and a Fender Amp are going to cut it for this track. So we went down to Gibson, they lent me one, and I kind of fell in love with it, and for many reasons. One, I think I needed to change. Change is as good as the rest. I think my guitar playing had got stale, and I think the change of instrument kind of really, really helped me. Secondly, it was the tone that was called for this album, and thirdly, though I hate to say it, and it pains me to say it, Joe Bonamata, being, best friends with him for the past few years, has been, the word Les Paul gets mentioned in many a conversation.
So he's
with that young
been
man.
trying to get you to drop Fender for a long
Yes,
time.
and you were right. Thank you. I owe you a drink.
Okay, also another change, keyboards. First time you've gone keyboards, because you were three-piece before.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have to play as much. And I think it gives the album a classic, sort of a timeless feel, and I think it complements it really well.
Well, I had a keyboard player when I was sort of 6. I always had one when I was younger, about 16 till I signed and did White Sugar. And then sort of for wanting to improve my rhythm skills and also finances, really, when you're starting out, we kind of stripped it down. And I think the decision to bring it in now is that it gave me more options as a songwriter,
Yeah.
It's the main thing. It's not about playing less or, because sometimes we still do the three-piece stuff and Neil will leave the stage. But it was more about, making the best of the songs and having that other sort of dynamic there, I suppose, and that other texture.
Yep. Now, looking at the liner notes, there's an instrument on there called a Gordon. So I went Googling Gordon. I'm looking for this instrument called Gordon.
I've wasted your time,
Tell us the story about that.
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning, just so it makes sense. Mike McCarthy, every piece of equipment he owns in his studio has his name on it. He's got these little stickers, almost like a 5-year-old when they go to school for the first time. The mom's put his name on everything. And I was kind of taking the mickey out of him about it, and we went away for a couple of days and came back in the studio, and he'd phoned me. He was like, I bought this amazing, 1960s Gibson acoustic. It's great. So, but there's one problem with it. I was like, what's the problem? He's like, you'll see when you come in. And I got in, and whoever had owned it previously had obviously been a kid years ago and got big orange letters, Gordon. He put his name on it. I was like, that is typical of you. You find that. So we just ended up referring to the guitarist Gordon, and he sent me through the lining notes saying these people played these songs, and he put Gordon. So I was like, yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. All right, the voice, deep, smoky voice. Where'd you learn to sing like that? And has anyone influenced your singing? Do you sort of...
Singing was a bit of a funny one for me in that it wasn't particularly something that I felt inspired to do. When I was real young, I guess Johnny Lang was a big influence.
Yep.
That was one of the first blues albums I had, Lie to Me, and the fact that he was basically my age doing it was obviously a big impact on me. And what a voice. But it wasn't really something I thought I could do or would do. It was just out of necessity, really, wanting to front band and pick their songs, and I think the rest of it was just perseverance and a little bit of good luck, and getting comfortable in your own skin and sort of getting used to doing it, really, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, acoustic. This is the first time you've played acoustic on an album.
It is.
Why is it taking you so long?
I don't really play acoustic, and I think in part it's to do with the fact that I learned to play classical so young, so I do see it as, it's almost like people ask me, why don't you play slide guitar? And it's like, well, it's a different instrument,
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you should do it to the best of your ability and do it really well, and I don't see how you can do both, like Derek Trucks doesn't play without a slide. He doesn't need to, he plays slide brilliantly. And I think acoustic's a bit like that for me. I haven't really learned that craft yet, so...
Okay, so let's talk about Army of One. Mm-hmm. You did it in one take, or you were sitting around in a circle, and with the help of one or two drinks, I hear?
One or two. Yeah.
Great track, so much going on in there. Like I hear North Hill country blues, R.L. Burnside. I hear a bit Middle Eastern influence, like with the mandolin. It sort of sounds a bit Robert Plantish, the sort of...
Well, that's down to Mike. He picked that, that wasn't the way I envisioned the song. And like all good producers, he was right in his arrangement of it. But yeah, we it was the last song we did, and we went out for dinner, all of us, and then and had a few drinks, and it was sort of like, well, it's the last song, and he's going for this vibe, so we all kind of locked ourselves in the little side room at the studio, Mike included, that's who you hear doing the foot stomp and talking at the beginning. And it's funny because next door in Austin, it was a rehearsal room, and it just so happened that night was like a thrash metal band rehearsing, so we'd have to, because we're trying to do this really like delicate track, we'd have to like stop and wait for the thrash metal band double kick and then wait and go, let's finish, right, go. So it was kind of a chaotic, but it was good fun, and it turned out really well, and it's probably my favourite actually on the album.
Yeah, it'd even work a cappella. I just think it's a great track,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And you can do more acoustic at all live, or you?
I'd like to
not
one day,
future?
but I think right now I'm kind of saving it. I think one day I'd really like to, but I think it'd be a case of going away and really kind of studying it a bit more. And like, there's an artist called Chris Whitley,
Yeah.
that did an album called Dirt Floor that was just him and a resonator, which actually is one of my favourite albums of his.
Yeah.
One of my favourite albums, full stop. So it's one of those things that when I do it, I think I'd like to do it whole hog and do it well.
Yeah. Your
if I
mate
can.
Joe has just brought out an acoustic album. Joe Bonamassa.
He has,
Yeah.
but then he does everything well, doesn't he? So.
Speaking of you being a 13-year-old, I'm on subscriber to him, and he showed video of himself as a 13-year-old playing guitar. I don't know if you've seen that, but just the maturity as a 13-year-old he had, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, he's scary. He is the best of our generation, and rightly so, and the hardest working and one of the nicest. So,
Yeah.
he deserves it.
Now, this album also got you excited again about playing, didn't it? Sort of, it took you back to that 13-year-old girl where you were looking at your posters on your bedroom wall, and has it inspired you, re-energised you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a weird situation with this, and I said earlier that I had more time to record this one, and it was because I actually got a series of ear infections. We recorded in the February, so that would have been in the June, July, and I couldn't fly, so I couldn't tour, basically. I couldn't leave the house. So, I had sort of 3 months, and I was in Houston, and kind of, it's like, well, there's not much else to do, So, I just sort of practiced and went back and listened to, I approached it like I did when I was 13. I got excited again, and I was watching DVDs all day long of Eric Johnson and reading all the guitar magazines.
Fantastic.
And, going on the internet and watching all the videos on YouTube. And, it did me a lot of good, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I did it. And it did, changes as good as the rest, and I think I kind of needed to shake myself up a bit.
Well, that's good.
Achieved it.
All right, so the CD's done. Now you've gone to the touring side of it.
Yep.
This is what tonight's all about, of course. This is what the fans want, see you live. Is there pressure on you to perform live, or does it come naturally, like to reproduce the album on stage?
I wouldn't say it's like comes naturally. I don't think I'm a natural performer. I'm quite a monotone, quiet person. But I think this is something I've been doing for years now. So it's what I live to do. So it's become, I'm not sure I'm natural, but it's second nature now, I guess. And it's, this is what you live for. I mean, as I was just saying to you, I went. I was saying to someone just, I did 3 weeks on the trot Germany, 17 gigs in 19 days. Next day, woke up at 4 a.m, flew, Germany, London, Houston, San Fran here. Day I landed straight in, and I haven't stopped since. We went straight into shows, and it's like, that's the work part. That's the bit I get paid to do. The relaxation is being able to do 2 hours on stage. That's the fun.
The adrenaline and it kicks in, and away you go.
Yeah, well, yeah, you hope. That and the Red Bull.
So what's the future of this year for you then? 2013 touring? Are you touring all year?
Yeah, we go through here till the 25th. I think I got a day off in Sydney finally, which I'm looking forward to because I love Australia and Sydney. I've been spending a bit of time there. But then I start New Zealand 26th, and then kick off again in Europe, Switzerland I think on April 3rd. And we're doing Scandinavia, Switzerland, Austria, Germany again, France, Spain, Canada, USA. And we're doing a live DVD CD in May. So, I think I get Christmas Day off. I think it's written into my record company contract that my mom says I have to have Christmas Day off. Else,
that sounds fair.
Yeah, record company bosses start getting slaughtered.
All right. So, who are you listening to at the moment? Who's exciting you?
Actually, today in the van I was listening to Mia Dyson. Who's a friend of mine who I met through Dave Stewart. He's a good Aussie girl. Yep. From here, I believe.
Yep, she is.
Another Aussie band called Chase the Sun that my guys in the band also are from that band, so we've been jamming out to that, and Claude Hay in the band, so some good Aussie talent.
Good.
Other than that, an English band called Skunk Anansie I was listening to today, and I'm having a bit of an Oasis revival, if you remember those. Yeah, it's a thing. Being 11 and listening to definitely maybe.
Alright, last question. Ooh, finally. Blues Matters is calling you the new face of the blues. What do you think about that?
That's an old quote. That was actually from when I was 15. And I think they were wrong then. They're probably wrong now. I don't know. I think it's a very, very nice quote.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for it. But I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to make that decision or comment on that. I think that's for other people to.
Yeah, fair enough. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Really, thank you for your time. I understand how busy it is and your schedule and everything. Wish you continued success for the rest of your career, and good luck for the rest of the tour.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Looking forward to it.
It's been Baz from Blues on the Hill, and I've been with Joanne Shaw Taylor. Until next time.